Welcome to Veteran to Veteran. My name is Conrad Kaskowski, American Legion Post here in beautiful Plymouth, Wisconsin, and with me is Dwayne Wick, also a member of our post, but also the county commander. You want to explain that a little?
Well, we have different levels of leadership. We have post level. The next one up is our county level. District level, there's 12 districts in the state of Wisconsin. And then we have our state level of leadership. So I'm kind of in between there.
Once in a while, somebody will say, how come your hat's different than his hat? Did he have a choice? Did you? And stuff like that. So get that cleared out, okay?
Okay. Yeah, by the hat you can tell, if you recognize what it is, what level of leadership you're at. So, what will we be discussing today for our show?
Dwayne, we're going to be looking at another pillar of the American Legion. Just to remind you, there are 4 pillars. This one is going to deal with children and youth. Now, this pillar can be very confusing to Legion posts when they are reporting their activities. And when we're talking about reporting activities, because we just finished our yearly report called a Consolidated Post Report. That covers all of not only the pillars, but all our activities within the post, what we did for the year, and monetary contributions, costs, and everything. So when it comes to this part, it gets a little confusing, correct?
Correct. So it seems pretty straightforward, reporting activities involving children and youth.
Well, that's where the confusion comes, because the Americanism pillar covers baseball, boys and girls nation, and for us, that would be Badger Boys and Girls State, shooting sports, which you're very familiar with, oratorical and youth cadet law enforcement program.
You're right. That can be confusing when you're submitting those reports. So let's look how all of this started with the pillar, children and youth. In the years after the American Legion's founding, members realized that neglect of family and child welfare programs affected disabled veterans' rehabilitation. Following a year of careful study, the organization adopted the American Legion Child Welfare Program in 1924. Established a year later in 1925, the American Legion National Child Welfare Division puts forward the Whole Child Plan, stating that the child of every veteran should have a home, health, education, character, and opportunity.
And then came along in 1938 was the first time that April became designated as Children and Youth Month. Now, the major program change designated April as Child Welfare Month. So the American Legion and the American Legion Auxiliary began a cooperative venture to celebrate the nation's children and youth. Annually, the American Legion observes April as Children and Youth Month. Departments, posts, units, squadrons, when I'm saying squadrons belong to the Sons of the American Legion, that's their designation, are encouraged to conduct a children and youth activity or activities in the month of April, and informing members and the community of the American Legion's work on behalf of young people.
So the 3 principles found in the American Legion Resolution number 199, titled Re-emphasize 3 major principles of child welfare programs of the American Legion are: first, strengthen the family unit against the forces of more complex society. 2, the American Legion recognizes that the optimal environment for children is at home with his or her parents. And 3, our efforts have always been directed toward keeping the family together. So it's strengthening the family, being at home with his or her parents, and keeping the family together.
Now, the American Legion also endorses several programs outside of its own established programs, and that would be such as Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and one that you're very familiar with, 4-H programs, and National Family Partnership. That's just a few that the Legion does support outside of its own programs.
So the Americanism Commission's Children and Youth Committee is the center of the Legion's youth support efforts. The committee meets annually and formulate, recommend, and implement plans, programs, and activities designated to accomplish 4 things, and they are assure care and protection for the children of veterans. 2, to improve conditions for all children and youth with due concern for maintaining the integrity of the family home. 3, prevent social and physical ills of children and youth where possible. Utilize services of and cooperating with sound organizations and agencies for children and youth. And lastly, maintain a balanced program that provides for physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual needs.
Now, the American Legion's commitment to children and youth can be counted actually in tens of millions. Under the organization's 2 major grant programs, Child Welfare Foundation and Temporary Financial Assistance, and its portfolio of youth scholarships, so more than $60 million has been invested in our young people by the nation's largest veterans organization. And while April is Children and Youth Month in the American Legion, that support runs year-round with programs, activities, grants, scholarships that make a difference for tens of thousands of young people every year.
Now, the monetary contributions can be found in the American Legion grants and scholarship programs such as the American Legion Child Welfare Foundation, the National American Legion Scholarships, the American Legion Samsung Scholarship, the American Legion Eagle Scout of the Year Scholarships, and to include scholarships found in baseball and shooting sports programs.
So what we're trying to show you here is that the pillar for children and youth, it's not just support of its own programs, but as long as they also support youth-oriented programs that they're not directly called an American Legion program. Now, the American Legion views these programs vital and offers programs and activities of a different nature, yet these programs are in the interest and the well-being of our youth. So although being short, probably our shortest show regarding one of the pillars, it is obviously one of our most important ones.
And you can always find more information on going on the legion.org and look at the programs under children and youth.
Right, and in Americanism and so forth. So we really appreciate you watching our show, and we don't necessarily, you can see we're not dealing strictly with veterans issue, but other community programs that we definitely, as in our post, we do support. So until the next time, we'll be covering the last of the 4 American Legion 4 pillars. So please, I want you to stay strong. I want you to stay healthy, and please be active.